Imagine this scenario, and I want you to be totally honest with yourself about how familiar this sounds.
It's probably going to hit close to home for a lot of people.
Oh, absolutely. So you wake up after what was, objectively, a totally sufficient 8 hours of sleep.
Right, a full night.
Yeah. But the moment you open your eyes, your entire system just feels completely depleted. You drag yourself out of bed, and you're experiencing this profound lethargy before the day has even started.
Like you're already running on empty.
Exactly. Or maybe you've noticed this creeping metabolic inflexibility, that really stubborn weight gain around the midsection that just refuses to budge.
No matter how much you cut calories or do cardio.
Right. Or here's another one. You're sitting in a really demanding afternoon meeting, and suddenly your brain just flatlines. The working memory falters, your focus just completely evaporates.
The classic afternoon brain fog.
Yeah. And if you are nodding along to this right now, you are experiencing a systemic failure that, honestly, most of society gets totally wrong.
We really do. We just write it off.
We do. We chalk it up to, just getting older, or we blame it on being stressed out at work.
And then what do? We reach for a massive cup of coffee.
Right. We try to mask it with caffeine. We just try to power through the friction. And eventually, we kind of just accept this lower baseline as the unavoidable reality of aging.
But it's not unavoidable.
Not at all. And that is exactly what we are getting into today. Because what is the secret to fixing this exhaustion, the brain fog, the stubborn weight? What if it's not more caffeine or some crazy strict diet?
What if it requires a totally different paradigm?
Exactly. A shift into our cellular biology. We are looking at the microscopic power plants that dictate the energy of almost every single cell in your body.
It really requires a profound shift in perspective.
Yeah.
We have to move away from just managing symptoms and look at the cellular root cause.
Yeah.
Because we're so used to treating the downstream effects, right? The fatigue, the weight gain, the inflammation. But we completely bypass the actual source of our physical and mental energy.
Which is why today we are taking a deep dive into the really astonishing science of mitochondria.
The literal engines of our cells.
Yes. These are the organelles that dictate your metabolic rate, your vitality, basically your functional capacity every single second that you're alive.
And the sources we've pulled for this deep dive are just incredible.
They really are. We've got some fascinating stuff.
We're looking at a groundbreaking 4-week clinical experiment that was actually broadcast on South Korean television on a show called Secrets of Life and Death.
Such a dramatic title, but the results back it up.
They really do. And we're pairing that with cutting-edge clinical data from the Mayo Clinic, specifically their exercise physiology trials.
Published in Cell Metabolism, yeah.
Plus, insights from Dr. Ohta Shigeo's book on cellular aging, and some really detailed medical columns from metabolic experts like Dr. Park Min-soo and Dr. Lee Wang Lim.
Who basically give us the exact blueprints for fixing these things.
Right, the specific strategies and dietary hacks to optimize these cellular power plants.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the sheer volume of biology here is massive, but the goal is super practical.
Highly actionable.
Right. Our mission for this deep dive is to give you the exact protocols to optimize your cellular energy. We're talking specific exercises, dietary hacks, supplements, things that actually repair and multiply these power plants inside you.
Reversing the signs of aging at the microscopic level.
Giving you back that boundless energy you thought was just gone forever. And remember, as we talk through this, we are talking about your body, the things happening inside you right now.
So to manipulate those processes, we need to establish the baseline. What are we actually talking about when we say mitochondria?
The powerhouse of the cell, right. That's what we all learned in high school.
Right, the classic textbook definition. But practically, their main job inside the roughly 60 trillion cells in your body is something called oxidative phosphorylation.
Which sounds incredibly complex.
It is, but think of it like an engine. They take the fuel, you eat the glucose from carbs, fatty acids from fats, amino acids from protein, and they process it.
Through the Krebs cycle.
Exactly, the Krebs cycle and the electron transport chain. They use all that fuel to create ATP, which is the biological currency of energy.
And they need a constant supply of oxygen to make this happen.
Right. Without healthy mitochondria constantly converting this fuel, your cells just stop working.
And what always blows my mind is the scale of this. Like, when we picture a cell, we usually think of the nucleus right in the middle.
Holding our DNA.
Yeah, but the nucleus just has those 2 strands of DNA. The mitochondria, it's a totally different story. A single cell doesn't just have one mitochondrion.
It depends entirely on what the cell does.
Exactly. Like, a skin cell doesn't do a whole lot of heavy lifting, so it might just have a handful of them.
Your heart.
Your heart cells. They have to beat continuously for your entire life without a single break. Those cells are packed with thousands of mitochondria.
Thousands per cell.
Thousands. Same with your brain.
Mhm.
Your cerebral cortex is so dense with them because firing those neurons requires a massive constant supply of energy.
What's fascinating here is the origin of this massive network, because it really challenges how we think about inheritance.
Maternal link.
Yes. We all know regular DNA is a mix from your biological father and mother, but mitochondrial DNA is totally different.
It has its own DNA.
It does. It has its own distinct circular genome, and you inherit it almost exclusively from your mother.
Exclusively.
Yeah. During fertilization, the mitochondria from the sperm are actually destroyed. Only the mother's mitochondria survive to populate the embryo.
Wow. So the baseline health of your entire cellular energy system is a direct gift from your mother.
Her cellular health, her oxidative stress at the time of conception, that sets your foundational energy capacity for life.
That really shifts how you look at your family tree. But we also have to talk about the dark side of this engine, right?
The exhaust.
Right. Because making all this ATP isn't a perfectly clean process.
Not at all. As those engines burn fuel and oxygen, they leak.
And what they leak are these reactive oxygen species, which the sources call active oxygen.
Free radicals.
Free radicals. So if mitochondria are the power plants, this active oxygen is the toxic exhaust fumes.
And that exhaust is the root of the aging process. When you have young, healthy mitochondria, they don't leak much. And your cell has antioxidants to clean up whatever does leak.
But as we get older, or when we have terrible lifestyle habits,
The mitochondria get damaged. They become really inefficient. And they start pumping out massive amounts of this active oxygen.
which is basically toxic to the cell.
Highly toxic. It damages proteins, destroys cell membranes, and it physically damages your DNA.
The numbers on this from the sources are terrifying. They say this oxidative stress causes 100,000 gene mutations a day.
Every single day.
100,000. And when the cell takes too much damage from this exhaust, the mitochondria basically pull the plug.
Apoptosis.
Yeah, cell suicide. They release chemicals that dismantle the cell from the inside out to protect the rest of the body.
And that mass die-off of cells is what we experience as aging. It's the root cause of heart attacks, dementia, diabetes, cancer.
And that chronic fatigue we talked about at the beginning.
Exactly. And there's a really interesting biological quirk here about why women generally live longer than men.
Oh, right, the estrogen connection.
Yes, estrogen isn't just for reproduction. It actually binds directly to receptors on the mitochondria and tells them to produce more antioxidants.
So women literally have a biochemically enhanced defense system against this toxic exhaust.
Until menopause, yes, it protects their cells from that cumulative damage.
That makes so much sense. And it really changes how we view our health. We aren't just getting old. Our engines need a tune-up.
It's an energy production problem.
To really visualize this, the sources bring up that famous research from Dr. David Sinclair at Harvard.
The mice on the treadmills.
Yes. 2 mice, exact same age.
Wow.
One has poor aging mitochondria, and it runs on the treadmill like an exhausted chain smoker.
Just zero endurance.
Totally fragile.
Right.
But the other mouse was given a compound called resveratrol, which forces the body to build brand new mitochondria.
And the difference is night and day.
It sprints. It runs like a mouse a fraction of its age. The genetic code of the 2 mice was identical. The only difference was the quality of their cellular engines.
Which logically forces us to look at ourselves. If our vitality depends on these engines, what are we doing every day to destroy them?
The saboteurs.
Right. What's turning us into the exhausted mouse?
Dr. Park Min-soo has this checklist in the sources, and I want you listening to mentally check off how many of these you do.
It's a brutal list.
Drinking caffeine on an empty stomach right when you wake up, binging on high-carb foods, scrolling on your smartphone past midnight, sitting at a desk all day,
Getting maybe 4 or 5 hours of sleep.
and just letting psychological stress fester.
That last one, the stress, is probably the most insidious. Because we think of stress as just being in our heads.
Right, like it's just a bad mood.
But your nervous system doesn't know the difference between a looming deadline at work and a literal tiger chasing you.
So it triggers the fight or flight response.
Exactly. Your adrenal glands pump out cortisol and adrenaline. Your body thinks it needs to run for its life, so it screams at your mitochondria to produce massive amounts of energy right now.
But you're just sitting at your desk.
Right. You don't use the energy, so you're forcing the engine to rev at the red line while the car's in park.
which creates a massive bottleneck.
And an explosion of that toxic active oxygen. You are literally flooding your cells with corrosive exhaust because you're stressed about an email.
That is wild. Our anxieties are physically rusting our cells. Okay, but let's talk about another saboteur that really surprised me. Speed eating.
Yes.
We all do it. Inhaling a sandwich between meetings. Why does eating fast destroy our power plants?
It comes down to the sheer biological cost of digestion. When you eat, your body has to produce a massive amount of digestive fluids.
I read the numbers in the sources and I couldn't believe it.
Your stomach has to make up to 2.5 liters of gastric juice. Your pancreas needs 1 liter of enzymes. Your intestines need up to 3 liters of fluid.
We're talking about synthesizing over 6 liters of fluid just to process lunch.
Exactly. And when you eat slowly, the energy demand to make those fluids is spread out. The mitochondria can handle it.
But when you crush a huge meal in 10 minutes,
You trigger a massive sudden demand for energy in your digestive organs. The mitochondria go into hyperdrive, they get overwhelmed, and again, you get a massive spike in active oxygen.
so by eating too fast, you are causing acute oxidative damage to your own stomach and pancreas.
You're turning a nourishing act into a stress event.
I am definitely chewing my food slower from now on. There's one more saboteur we need to touch on, and it has to do with antibiotics.
This connects to how mitochondria evolved.
Right, because they are structurally so similar to bacteria, right?
Well, evolutionary biologists believe they actually used to be free-living bacteria billions of years ago.
Which is still so crazy to think about.
It is. But because they still have bacterial traits, like their own DNA and similar ribosomes, broad-spectrum antibiotics can sometimes get confused.
Friendly fire.
Exactly. Overusing antibiotics can severely depress your mitochondria's ability to function. It literally suppresses your cellular energy.
So what does all this mean? It means your daily, seemingly harmless habits, the stress, the fast eating, the lack of sleep, are actively dismantling your energy grids.
But the good news is, we can reverse it.
Yes. Which brings us to the Make Your Body Younger protocol, the physical triggers.
This is where we look at the KBS clinical project.
Right. They took 9 volunteers in their 50s and 60s, and these folks had all the classic issues.
Visceral fat, high blood sugar, chronic fatigue.
The exhausted mouse profile.
Exactly. And they put them on a 4-week, non-pharmacological protocol. Just 2 things, a 20 to 30% calorie restriction and circuit training.
Just 4 weeks, and the results were insane.
True.
Subjectively, they felt amazing, waking up feeling light, full of energy. But objectively, the blood tests proved it. Blood sugar dropped in 7 out of 9 people.
Bad LDL cholesterol dropped in 8 out of 9.
And the craziest part, they actually measured their mitochondrial DNA. In just 4 weeks, 4 people had massive increases in their total number of mitochondria.
Their bodies built completely new power plants,
And the people who were in the worst health at the start saw the biggest improvements.
which proves the body's capacity for repair is always there if you give it the right signal.
So how do we send that signal? Because a regular gym routine doesn't always cut it.
No, it requires a very specific type of physical stress.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Let's talk about Dr. Ohta Shigeo's tuna versus flounder theory.
I love this analogy. It perfectly explains muscle fiber types.
So explain the flounder first.
A flounder is a fish that spends its whole life hiding on the ocean floor. It barely moves. But when it needs to catch prey or escape, it uses a sudden, explosive burst of speed.
Oh, right.
To do that, it relies on white muscle, fast-twitch fibers. They use stored glycogen for quick energy without needing oxygen.
But because they don't use oxygen, they hardly have any mitochondria.
Exactly. Now look at a tuna. A tuna swims constantly across entire oceans. It never stops. It needs absolute, endless endurance.
So it's made of red muscle.
Yes. Slow-twitch fibers,
Okay.
packed with blood vessels, and more importantly, absolutely loaded with mitochondria.
Because it needs to constantly convert fat and oxygen into energy.
Right. So if our goal is to build more mitochondria, we can't train like a flounder doing quick explosive lifts. We have to train like a tuna.
But I don't want to run marathons every day.
You don't have to. And that's where the Mayo Clinic protocol comes in.
The HIIT protocol from Cell Metabolism.
Right. They tested heavy weightlifting, steady cardio, and high-intensity interval training on different age groups.
And the HIIT protocol was the only one that reversed the age-related mitochondrial decline.
It actually reprogrammed the older muscle tissue to act young again.
Okay, we need to give you the exact routine because it's so simple. They use stationary bikes.
You start with 4 minutes of going hard.
Like 90% of your max effort.
Right. You are demanding more energy than your cells currently have. This creates a temporary energy crisis.
And then,
Then you drop down to 3 minutes of easy pedaling to recover.
followed by 5 minutes of complete rest.
That's one 12-minute cycle. 4 minutes hard, 3 minutes easy, 5 minutes rest. You repeat that 4 times.
So roughly 48 minutes total.
And that specific undulating stress pattern is what triggers the body to synthesize new mitochondria.
Because of a protein called PGC1 alpha, right?
Exactly. When you deplete that energy during the hard 4 minutes, your cell flips a panic switch called AMPK. That activates PGC1 alpha, which is basically the foreman of the construction crew.
It tells the DNA we need more power plants, start building.
Yes. But you don't even necessarily have to hit that 90% max to get started. The sources talk about the 80% rule.
Even just brisk walking.
If you walk with enough intensity for 20 minutes to really elevate your heart rate, you'll cross that threshold and activate PGC1 alpha.
Okay, but what if you're stuck at your desk? The sources actually have a posture hack that builds mitochondria while you're sitting.
This goes right back to the tuna muscle theory.
Right, because where are those red endurance muscles located in humans?
Your postural muscles, the deep muscles along your spine, your core, your thighs, your calves, their whole evolutionary job is to fight gravity and keep you upright all day without getting tired.
Which means they are the most densely packed with mitochondria in your entire body.
But when you slouch in your chair,
Which we all do.
you completely turn off those muscles. You rest on your skeleton instead.
So the biggest mitochondrial engines in your body just powered down.
Exactly. They sense they aren't needed, and they actually decrease their energy production.
So the hack is literally just sitting up perfectly straight.
Keep your back straight, head up, shoulders back. By
Uh-huh.
doing that, you're forcing those massive red muscles into a constant low-level contraction.
You're keeping the engines running. That is brilliant. Sit up straight, everybody.
It's an active metabolic exercise.
Okay, so we've covered the physical triggers, the tuna training, the Mayo HIT protocol, the posture. Now we need to talk about environments and diets.
The in, out, and cut protocol.
Before we get to the food, let's talk about temperature. Cold exposure. People love jumping in ice baths right now, but why does it work?
It's a survival mechanism. Your body has to maintain a core temperature of 37 degrees Celsius.
Or you die.
Right. So when you jump in a cold plunge or take a cold shower, your brain panics. It thinks you're freezing to death,
So you start shivering.
which is your muscles rapidly contracting just to generate heat. That demands a ton of ATP, which forces your mitochondria to adapt. But the real magic happens in your brown fat.
Brown adipose tissue. This isn't the fat around your belly.
No, brown fat is actually packed with mitochondria. That's why it's brown. And when the cold hits, a protein called UCP1 gets activated.
Uncoupling protein.
Yes, it literally uncouples the engine. Instead of using fuel to make ATP, it burns the fuel and releases pure heat to warm your blood.
So by taking a cold shower, you're forcing your body to build a massive internal heating network, which requires tons of new mitochondria.
Exactly. It's an incredible biological hack.
Okay, what about hunger? The sources talk about a massive monkey study on calorie restriction.
This is legendary longevity research. They took rhesus monkeys, which age very similarly to us, and split them into 2 groups.
One group ate whatever they wanted.
And the other group ate a perfectly nutritious diet, but with 30% fewer calories. They were always slightly hungry.
And the difference after a couple of decades was shocking.
The monkeys who ate whatever they wanted looked old. Gray hair, wrinkles, muscle loss, diabetes, heart disease.
But the hungry monkeys,
They looked incredibly young. Thick hair, clear skin, retained their muscle, and they had a massive drop in mortality from age-related diseases
how does eating less stop aging?
through a process called mitophagy. Think of it like a cellular Pac-Man.
Yeah.
When mitochondria get old and damaged, they start leaking that toxic active oxygen. Mitophagy is the process where the cell finds those damaged power plants, swallows them up, and recycles their parts.
But the catch is this recycling program shuts down when you're constantly eating.
Right. When insulin is high, your body's in growth mode. It won't clean house.
So you have to stop eating.
You need to fast for 12 to 16 hours, usually overnight. When insulin drops, the cell senses scarcity, hits the panic button, and triggers mitophagy. It clears out all the rusted engines to make room for new ones.
So just pushing breakfast back a few hours can literally clean the aging out of your cells.
Precisely.
But when we do eat, we have to talk about the 30-minute meal. We covered how speed eating causes oxidative stress, so how does slowing down fix it?
It takes your body about 30 minutes for the whole satiety signal sequence to happen.
From the food hitting your stomach to your brain realizing you're full.
Right. Your pancreas has to release insulin. Your fat cells have to release leptin. Those hormones have to travel to your brain.
And if you eat your whole meal in 10 minutes, you outrun the signal.
You'll mechanically fill your stomach, but your brain still thinks you're starving.
Yeah?
So you overeat.
Which floods the mitochondria with too much fuel, causing that exhaust leak.
So pace your meal out to 30 minutes. Give your hormones time to work.
Okay, so eat slowly, but what exactly are we eating? This is Dr. Lee Wang Lim's in, out, and cut theory. Let's start with in. What are we putting in?
The in principle is all about micronutrients, specifically potent antioxidants.
To neutralize that toxic exhaust.
Exactly. They act like molecular fire extinguishers. The sources highly recommend carotene from carrots, lycopene from tomatoes, and astaxanthin.
Astaxanthin, that's what makes salmon pink, right?
Yes, it's an incredibly powerful antioxidant from microalgae. And they also mention traditional Korean red bean rice for its antioxidant properties.
So that's the in, armoring the cell. What about the out?
The out is about your gut. If waste sits in your colon too long, toxins leak into your bloodstream and cause systemic inflammation.
Which directly damages your mitochondria everywhere in your body.
Right, so the out protocol is about high-quality fiber. They specifically highlight baekneoncho, which is an edible cactus,
I found this fascinating. Why this cactus?
because it has an absurd amount of mucilaginous fiber. 4 to 8 times more fiber than lettuce.
It's like a gel.
Yeah, your body doesn't digest it. It moves through your gut like a sponge, physically trapping toxins, heavy metals, and carcinogens, and sweeps them out,
Plus, it feeds the good bacteria.
which produce butyrate, lowering inflammation system-wide.
Incredible. And finally, the cut.
The most obvious but hardest one. Cut out processed foods, refined sugars, and bad seed oils.
You have to stop poisoning the system before the antioxidants can even work.
Metabolic triage.
Okay, before we get to the supplements, there's a really cool breathing hack from the Dongi-bogum, an ancient Korean medical text.
This is a perfect example of ancient wisdom matching modern cellular biology.
The text says to breathe so slowly and deeply that a goose feather under your nose wouldn't move.
Beautiful imagery.
But how does breathing slowly help my cellular power plants?
It counteracts stress. Remember how stress forces your mitochondria into overdrive?
Yeah, the whole fight or flight bottleneck.
When you're stressed, you hyperventilate, shallow chest breaths. But when you breathe deep into your belly super slowly, you manually stimulate the vagus nerve.
The rest and digest system.
Exactly. It instantly drops your cortisol, lowers your heart rate, and tells your mitochondria to stand down. It shuts off the flood of active oxygen.
You literally turn off the stress at a microscopic level just by exhaling slowly. Amazing.
It really is.
Okay, we've done the exercises, the fasting, the food, the breathing. Now let's talk about the final polish, the supplement stack.
The biochemical cofactors.
There are 5 key supplements the experts recommend to supercharge this whole process. Number 1, coenzyme Q10, CoQ10.
This is non-negotiable as you get older.
Why?
Inside the mitochondria, there's an assembly line passing electrons down a chain to make energy. CoQ10 is the literal conveyor belt. It physically shuttles the electrons.
So without it, the line stops.
The line stops. Energy production plummets. Your body makes it naturally, but it drops off a cliff after age 20. By your 40s, you just don't have enough.
So they recommend supplementing 100 to 200 milligrams a day to keep that conveyor belt moving.
And it acts as a localized antioxidant right where the exhaust is made.
Perfect. Number 2 is PQQ. I hadn't heard much about this one.
Pyrroliquinoline quinone. It's unique because it doesn't just protect the mitochondria.
It actually forces your body to build new ones.
Yes. It triggers the exact same pathway as the Mayo Clinic exercise protocol. It activates PGC1 alpha.
So taking 10 to 20 milligrams of this a day tells your DNA to build fresh power plants.
And it's especially famous for clearing up brain fog because your brain needs so much energy.
Wow. Okay, number 3, alpha lipoic acid, ALA.
The ultimate shield.
Because it's both water and fat soluble, right?
Exactly. It can travel anywhere in the cell, deeply penetrating the mitochondrial membranes to neutralize free radicals. And it recycles your other antioxidants like vitamin C, making them work multiple times.
Plus it helps with blood sugar. They recommend 300 to 600 milligrams.
Yes.
Number 4, the vitamin B complex.
You literally cannot turn food into energy without B vitamins.
B1, B2, B3, B5, B6.
They are the coenzymes, B3, for example, makes NAD plus the Ag, which is the molecule that actually carries the electrons from your food to the mitochondria.
Yeah.
If you're missing even one B vitamin, the whole system stalls.
Resulting in severe fatigue. So get a good B complex. And finally, number 5, this one ties it all together. Magnesium.
The enabler.
Right, people take it for sleep or cramps, but it's essential for energy.
Here is the craziest part. You can do everything right. The fasting, the exercise, the CoQ10, your mitochondria can produce billions of ATP energy molecules.
But without magnesium, it's useless.
Completely biologically inert.
Yeah.
ATP cannot be used by the body unless it is physically bound to a magnesium ion.
So no magnesium, no energy.
And our soil is totally depleted, so almost everyone is deficient. They recommend 300 to 400 milligrams daily just to unlock the energy you're making. If we connect this to the bigger picture,
Right.
these are supplements. They supplement the lifestyle.
Wow.
You can't take CoQ10 and then stay up all night eating junk food.
You can't put premium gas in a broken engine.
Exactly. The supplements are the final 10%.
What a journey. I just want to quickly recap this for everyone listening. If you're tired, if you can't lose weight, if you have brain fog, you aren't just getting old. Your maternal inherited cellular engines are rusted and leaking toxic exhaust.
Because of stress, eating fast, and sitting all day.
But you have the blueprint to fix it.
Right.
You can do the 12-minute Mayo Clinic HIIT routine. You can sit up straight, take cold showers, fast for 16 hours, chew your food for 30 minutes, and load up on antioxidants and bake your fiber.
You have total agency over your biology.
You really do. But before we wrap up, I want to hit on something we mentioned briefly. This is going to blow some minds.
The evolutionary reality.
Yeah. Yes. We've been talking about mitochondria like they are just gears in a machine. But they're not, are they?
No. This raises an important question. Evolutionary biologists agree that mitochondria used to be free-living bacteria billions of years ago.
And they basically moved into our cells.
They formed a symbiosis. But they still have their own DNA, they reproduce on their own schedule. They are technically an alien species living inside our cells.
Which leads to a really unsettling thought.
If our energy, our aging, our moods, and our actual survival are entirely dictated by these billions of ancient bacteria inside us,
Who is really in charge?
are we the masters of our bodies? Or are we just incredibly complex walking life support systems engineered to transport and feed a massive colony of bacteria?
That is a staggering paradigm shift. Am I a human, or am I just a bipedal spacecraft for a bacterial payload? I'm going to be thinking about that all week. Thank you all for joining us on this incredible deep dive. Take your newly optimized bacterial colonies for a brisk walk. Remember to sit up straight and keep diving deep.